Go outside and scare the bejesus out of my neighbors. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today marks episode 1 of The Ghost Who Walks. This is the documentation and the construction of my Phantom cosplay. Now, I have been umming and ahhing and sitting on the fence of this cosplay for quite some time. I actually got this base suit several months ago. I tried it on. Here is the first shot right here of me trying the suit on. I'm not gonna lie, I just wasn't feeling it. I just felt ridiculous, silly, and I literally had it sitting in the cupboard right here for several months. But I've been training, I've been feeling good, and I feel the time is now right to have a crack at really doing a badass interpretation of the Phantom. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys the base bodysuit, the boots I'm gonna be using, but most importantly, I'm gonna be showing you guys how I'm gonna be casting the belt/belt buckle as well that is gonna be a part of this suit. Now, you probably do recognize this base suit. This is the same suit that I also used for my tactical Batman, which is also a work in progress. Again, I've just put it away for now. Much like the Phantom, I'll get to it when I'm jonesing to do it again. That is how I work, and it's just one of those things where you just gotta get used to it on this channel. I start things and then I put it away and then shift focus to something that I'm jonesing to do and interested in, and then come back to the other project at a later date. And that is a typical trait of a brooding artist. But yeah, the base suit is from white sheep leather, and it is their Batman Noel base suit slash jumpsuit slash bodysuit. But I asked them if they could do it in a darker shade of purple. Now, I'm seeing now on the viewfinder, it's showing up as a brighter purple. And what I've realized, purple is so hard to photograph, and I can see why. Apparently with Billy Zane's costume from the 1996 Phantom film, they had to make cowls with certain shades of purple. His bodysuit was a lycra, but his actual hood slash cowl was foam latex that had to be shaded in different types of purple on the different lighting situations throughout the film because purple is so hard to photograph. But I thought this template would be a perfect suit for a more tactical, badass version of the Phantom. So again, nothing has been done to this except the wrist part of the sleeves have been tightened by the tailor, literally just there because they were just a bit baggy on my hands. I am also tinkering with the idea of having wrist wraps, you know, like boxer wrist wraps, something like that in a white or a black, or just leaving it bare. And of course, the rings. But also I'm gonna be tightening these side levers here like I did with the tactical Batman cosplay. Now, if I lift him up, the boots are the former adventure boot. Again, nothing really has been done to these apart from some EVA foam covering the main logo of the boot. These were actually utilized for my Marvel Midnight Suns Wolverine and Cap costume video, which has been done, dusted, submitted to Marvel, waiting for approval. So the video may be out before this or it will be out after. Either way, you'll know by now. So what I'm thinking game plan wise for weathering this type of thing is we're gonna go in with an airbrush and also handwork with like stains and soil marks and stuff like that, dirt marks, maybe even do like what I'm tinkering with tactical Batman is, you know, cutting open a part, stitching it back up with some blood stains, stuff like that, like he's repaired the suit. Just something really badass. Now, in terms of the cowl, I had white sheep leather include 2 meters of fabric. I paid for this suit and then paid for 2 meters of the fabric that they use for these base suits because I'm tinkering with the idea of having a traditional hood made using this fabric by a very talented costumer over in LA who I'm talking with at the moment. But at the moment, I'm actually having my head scan utilized for a digital cowl that's going to be cast in urethane by the very talented Art Debbing, whom you saw made that beautiful Robert Pattinson face scan that I used to make a faceplate for display in a cowl. So here's what Art Debbing has shown me so far. He's also doing the eye mask. It's pretty much a bang-on representation of the Billy Zane eye mask. I just think that it's a classic looking eye mask and it just ticks all the boxes. But in terms of the cowl, I want to try something where have it 3D printed, take a mold of it and cast it in a nice soft urethane. A purple tinted urethane for that matter. See how it looks? My biggest thing is not to look cheesy. I want to look badass. I want to make the Phantom look badass. And don't get me wrong, he's looked badass throughout the ages, throughout various iterations in the comics, and Billy Zane made it look badass. The fact that he didn't have to wear a muscle suit, that is badass tier level. So let's talk about the belt. I have 2 molds that I'm going to be utilizing. I have the classic skull buckle mold here that I molded years ago off a mass-produced belt buckle, and it just looked the part. Now the actual strapping of the belt, I'm going to be utilizing this old belt mold that I've had sitting around in the workshop for years. I do love the tapering on this. I love a good tapering belt where it follows the Adonis belt of the human anatomy. Like, straight belts are great, and Billy Zane had a straight gun belt, but I just love a good tapering belt. So we're going to be pouring in some FlexiCast 45 urethane into this mold, as well as a skull buckle mold. We are going to be brushing in some silver powder into the skull mold, whilst we're just going to be tinting the urethane black for this one, cutting out the buckle and using the sides of these on either side of the buckle. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, we're all set to go to cast up our belt. So we have our buckle mold, we have our full belt mold, we've got our FlexiCast 45. Now I'm going to be tinting it black because it does come out a nice yellow, but we obviously needed a full black for the buckle and the belt itself. And this is a Lumalite black that Barnes sent out for me to try. It's more like a liquidy tint, so I'm very keen to try that out. Now we are going to be brushing silver powder into the buckle mold. I'm just using the Pearl Effects Silver. Got a brush there. Now, it isn't toxic, but also you don't exactly want to breathe this stuff in. You want to be very careful when you're brushing it in. You don't want to go all ham, because that way it gets a lot more airborne. And then we take it out on the balcony and give it a hit with the hairdryer to blow out any excess. So we're going to brush that into the buckle mold first, pour that up, and then do a big pour for the full belt mold itself. Now, this is a slow set polyurethane, so we're probably going to be good to demold it tomorrow morning, and then we can get to cutting the side straps off, gluing this thing together, as well as applying some Velcro and embedding some Velcro to the back of the belt so we can Velcro it and have it sit properly on the bodysuit itself. Now, whilst the buckle and the belt are curing and cooking, we're going to get to work permanently gluing down these side tabs here. Now, when I do wear the suit, they're very loose if they're buckled on the original snaps that are right here, but like I did with the Tactical Batman suit, by pulling them forward and gluing them in, it gives you a bit more tightness and accentuates more of that V taper. Again, I'm looking at the viewfinder. The suit looks so much more pink than it does in person. It's ridiculous. But also, I want your opinion on something. So we've got the trunks here, or what looks like an outline of the trunks, and also some piping here. So this is where I'd love some opinions from you guys. It's one of those things where, you know, we tape off this area here and we subtly airbrush on, say, a shade of black, but still have the purple bleeding through so it's not completely black. Or we could do that and also have these piping pieces as a stark black, as sort of like a reference to the OG Phantom design where he has the stripes on his trunks. Or do we forego airbrushing the faint black on and just going all out with the black piping? I'm still deciding, but I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Now, I'm also tinkering with the idea, again, and I emphasize the word tinkering because it is very Punisher the more I think about it, like a faint kind of crude skull here in the center, but I also am thinking of just completely ditching that idea. Again, it's one of those things where I keep spitballing ideas because I want it to be different, yet at the same time be very familiar that it's the Phantom. Now, in terms of the drop holsters that I'm going to be using, I have one at the moment. It's a molded plastic drop holster. I've used this many a times before, used it with Tactical Batman too. I've had this thing around for ages. Now, I've ordered another one for the left leg, and I also have gone ahead and ordered a left holster. So I'll be using Colt M1911s. I know the Phantom has modified Colts, but these fit them perfectly. So this is the left one. I've ordered another one because the perfect thing is you can unscrew everything here. So when I do get the other holster, it only came in a right drop holster. I'll unscrew it and pop the left one on. So it's going to be nice and symmetrical. And what I love about these drop holsters is you've got these beautiful strappings here that are just going to complement that belt. And again, with the V taper of the belt, how these kind of sway in on an angle. I love them. I think they're just gonna look so badass and just bring a whole new level of tactical, and you know, this suit can save your life instead of just thin spandex. So before I get sidetracked anymore, we're gonna permanently glue down these 6 side tabs here, and for that we're just gonna be using some cheap and nasty super glue. What I found is this cheap and nasty super glue loves this stuff. I've seen it before where I've glued this fabric together and it actually smolders. The heat is so intense and it just fuses it together. So I've gone ahead and pre-pinned them in place so they're gonna be easier to glue, because I can just go around the perimeter there very carefully and just glue under there and it'll permanently stick them down. So with that being said, let's get to it. Alrighty, we've let the belt strap and the belt buckle fully cure. Very happy with how it's turned out. I do love metallic powder embedding when it comes to urethane castings. It just works so well. So what I actually did was I cast an extra 4 panels of the belt on either side and extended it. I then backed it up with some Sikaflex 227. This is a polyurethane based cast sealant, so it just literally fuses to the belt strap, because there was actually a big void there. I don't know if you can see it. When I glued the pieces together with some cheap and nasty super glue, there was a big void, and this just essentially backs it up, makes it all smooth. Because it doesn't run all the way to the back of the suit from what I've seen. But anyway, before we get ahead of ourselves, the next step is to slice these straps here and glue the buckle in place. So it actually works out really well. So we've got this point here and this point here. So that's what I'm aiming for, and that nice V taper. So we're just gonna be slicing all the way here and on the other side too, and then glue the pieces together with some cheap and nasty super glue. And then we can move on to mounting the Velcro on the strap, as well as the suit itself, and as well as the buckle clasp at the back. So that looks pretty good. Now when it comes to slicing urethane, you just really want to take your time and do it in increments, so to speak, not just one big, you know, slice, because then you're going to get all jaggedy bits, because the rubber will eventually catch now and then on the blade, but that's when you want to go just nice and slow and smooth. Give it a first initial slice. Cool. Alrighty, so gives you a pretty good idea of how it's going to work. Like, I can't believe how well these two marry up. That's why I just wanted to use this belt strap. It just looks brilliant and has that lovely taper to it. Cool. So we're just going to grab our cheap and nasty super glue and run it along the bottom of the belt strap. That looks pretty good to me, very happy with that. So I've gone ahead and lopped off one panel on either end of the belt, and that is to make room for the closed clasp that we're going to be using. It's just one I got off eBay. Now, if you're also wondering with the previous shot why this guy was chilling in the back, that's going to come into play a little bit later towards the end of the video. So now what we're going to do is take some Sikaflex 227 and just run it along the seams here, just to reinforce where we've joined the buckle and the strap, and as well as permanently fix in our closing clasp. This is off eBay. This is like a tactical safety clasp that you can get, and I just really love the look of it. It's very tactical, very nice. So we're going to lay it down first with some cheap and nasty super glue, and then go over the actual strapping itself with some 227 just to fuse it back into the belt strap. Now I'm going to let that sit for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to start to place Velcro on the strap, most notably in the middle here and along the sides, and then marry it up with Velcro on the suit. Now before we move on to adding the Velcro to the strap and the suit itself, I'm just grabbing some black shoe polish, and we're just gonna very quickly weather up the buckle itself. This is pretty straightforward and pretty self-explanatory. if you've been a regular viewer on this channel, Geeks and Geekettes. Then just grab a paper towel and very lightly dab away the excess and try and leave it looking very organic. Like nothing has to be perfect and symmetrical when it comes to stuff like this. Like it's just grime and dirt that's collected in the buckle over the years. All right, Geeks and Geekettes, the last step is adding Velcro to the belt and to the suit. So I've gone ahead and pre-cut these strips for the actual belt. So this is going to be resting on the buckle. We've got a piece here and a piece either side at the end of the strap where the clip is. So because there's a bit of weight to this clip, it's just going to act as security to make sure nothing kind of droops or sags when it's following the taper of the belt. So we're only going to be using cheap and nasty super glue for the Velcro on the belt, but when it comes to the Velcro on the suit, we're going to be using cheap and nasty super glue and then going around the edges with the Sikaflex 227. That way it's really going to bite onto the Velcro and to the fabric of the suit itself. Now the skull that is resting in the mold here, I've got another one that has popped out of the mold. I'm actually going to be gluing these onto the shoulder bells. They look quite gnarly and I just love the look of them. Much in the vein of Captain America with the Avengers logo on either side of his shoulder bells. It just looks neat, and once it's all weathered up, it's going to look really nice. So I'll show you guys popping this out of the mold and then doing a bit of dry brushing with some silver rub and buff and gluing it onto the suit, and then we can call it a day for now. This step will be completed. Alrighty, I've got the base bodysuit on, just gives you a good idea how it all looks. Now I do attach a wire to the back of the zipper if I do have to put these bodysuits on and off by myself, but obviously on the day of a convention and stuff like that, I do remove that. But overall, I'm really happy with the fit so far. So with that being said, let's try the belt on and the drop holster. Now, forgive me if I'm literally backed into a corner here, but I want to try and show you guys the suit as much as possible, but I don't want to get the dirty mirror in the way and stuff like that. So I'm working with what I've got. Oh man, I'm so happy with how this is looking so far, Geeks and Geekettes. Again, keep in mind that the other drop holster has been ordered and is also on the way, but I just love how everything tapers. We've got this following the Adonis belt. We've got this tapering down. Really, really happy so far. And I think the nice trade-off with, instead of trying to do something that's very Punisher-esque with a skull on the chest, I think the shoulder skulls, like Captain America's shoulder bells, work pretty well. And once everything's weathered, stained, it's just gonna bring a whole new depth and layer to the suit in terms of believability that this thing could protect you in real life. Now, I also want to show you guys the rings. I got these off eBay. They originally were brass, but I went in with some silver rub and buff and put it on there. The reason why I got brass is because it was cheaper. It was like half the price of sterling silver. And I know that a lot of people are probably gonna say, why don't you get sterling silver? Well, you know, if you can do it on a budget and make it work, why not? The only thing is I do have to seal these in with like a matte sealer, like the Liquitex matte sealer that I do use. But overall, Geeks and Geekettes, really happy with how this is turning out. I'm sorry if the light is shifting. The sun is going in and out. The purple is probably changing to a pink, but you get the gist of how this is all going to look when it's all done and dusted. Now, I am tinkering with the idea of having a fabric cowl made out of the same fabric as this bodysuit, but for the time being, Art Deving is also constructing a 3D cowl, which eventually will be molded and casted in a flexible purple tinted soft urethane. And I'm just going to touch the mic to the suit like that. Here's another thing that I was tinkering with. So I've got my Tiger Stone Effects New 52 gauntlets, and I was looking at them the other day. I'm like, huh, they could be interesting. An interesting addition to the suit in the vein of the futuristic Phantom cartoon that came out in the late 90s. I don't know. They just look neat, they just look cool. It might be a nice addition. If it doesn't work, meaning like you've got the classic Phantom look here, but also this could be nicely done up with some nice metallic purples and obviously some dry brushing and stuff like that, and make it like a tactical piece of equipment that he would use, and also vice versa on the other arm. Try not to bunch the fabric up too much so it doesn't look cheesy, but yeah, I don't know, like it's just something different. Anyway, just a bit of food for thought. So thanks very much for watching, guys. The next episode in the Ghost Who Walks will be weathering this suit and all the additions and stuff like that, as well as repainting and weathering the boots. I've got the boots sitting over there. Obviously you get a pretty good idea of how they looked on the mannequin. They're the former adventure boot and they're just so comfy, and they just work for a wide range of cosplays, especially this one. I was tinkering again with the idea of putting one of these skulls on each boot, but I feel the more skulls you put on a suit like this, you run the risk of turning into almost a mascot with brand logos all over you, if that makes sense. It's more about subtlety, and I just think these skull shoulder bells work a treat. Now, also another reminder, guys, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on what we should do with these trunks. Is it one of those things where we should mist on a nice transparent black and still have a darker purple showing through and highlight these piping pieces here? Let me know down below. With that being said, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best. Go outside and scare the bejesus out of my neighbors.